The following program contains adult content and sexual themes. Viewer discretion is advised. And it contains murder. Lots and lots of murder.
You stinking bastard.
People tell me, hey, you're gonna go die and go to hell. At least I'm not grown.
For 911, where's your emergency?
Oh, this is Sandy. For 31 Rock, Plymouth Road.
What's the problem?
Send the police.
Hey guys, don't be a hero, mate. And I said, I'm not trying to be a hero, but the police are coming.
One in the chest, one in the head. Fired by Detective Sergeant Roger Rogerson.
I was branching out. That's when the cannibalism started, eating of the heart and the arm muscle.
I would have nailed Carl Williams' hands to a coffee table and just pulled it out of his backside. Carl Williams is a wobbly bottomed little cherub-faced little boy whose life would be.
I'd harm someone each time I'd kill someone. There'd be an enormous amount, especially at first, enormous amount of horror, guilt, remorse afterwards. But then that impulse to do it again would come back even stronger.
Buenos dias. I'm Barney Black.
And I'm Tara Saraban.
And we do Bloody Murder.
We're a weekly true crime podcast focusing on some of the lesser-known crime stories from Australia.
Indeed, and from around the globe.
What will you be covering this week, Barney?
The Curse of Cowra.
Oh, is it cursed?
Maybe.
You don't sound overly convinced for someone doing a murder podcast,
Well,
dude.
I've looked into this town. It's a small, sleepy little town of only 10,000.
And most of them are dead.
In central New South Wales. And there's been a lot of murder going on over the years there. So, I don't know. I think it's cursed.
Okay, well, I look forward to hearing about that.
We will investigate. How about you, Tara?
I'm going to be talking about Dana Sue Gray. She's an American serial killer who was in her mid-30s when she started killing, and she murdered older ladies so she could steal their credit cards and go on shopping sprees. Talk about taking consumerism to a hellish new level.
A murderous level.
Yeah, like gross.
I mean, I like stuff.
Yeah, I don't know that you'd like it enough to kill an old lady so that you get more Lego.
Hey, you know how most people like stuff?
Well, most people like some stuff, but most people don't like all the stuff.
I know this guy called Chris. I call him Yentl because
Chris.
Yeah, because he kind of likes to disguise himself. He's a woman and he likes to disguise himself as a man.
A Hasidic man.
Hasidic man.
Yeah, that's true. Every word of this is true.
To be a rabbi. But anyway, he doesn't like stuff.
He does like stuff. He likes drinking whiskey.
He likes drinking whiskey. He doesn't buy things, though. He doesn't...
He's the guy who likes to throw away his small change in the bin because he finds it annoying.
Yeah, that's true.
He's an eccentric millionaire.
He is. Anyway, we digress.
So we're going to talk about some of the things that our listeners have asked us about or told us about on our Facebook group or through emails.
Yeah, Tracy Ladylock, she was listening to the 12th March episode and she heard me tease her with a possible episode on Roger Rogerson. She says, please do it. No.
You teased her about it. You're like,
no, we're researching it.
Yeah, we are. We're thinking of joining forces and doing one. We're thinking of joining forces and gangbanging Roger together.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't sound as into it now that I've put it in those terms, do you?
Well, on the front of a book I've got of him, there's a quote of him, and it just says, "I'll do ya."
Well, there you go. He's open to it.
Yeah.
Danny J. Leonard, from our Facebook group as well, actually said, I interviewed Roger several years ago, pre the murder. He seemed like a kindly old man with a lot of great yarns, a bit of a larrikin. He even invited me out for a beer. I'm kind of torn on whether I should have gone or not.
Completely Natalie Imbruglio'd.
Totally torn. You should have gone, dude. That would have been interesting.
It would have been great.
You don't have a great story about not going for a beer, but you probably would have had a great story if you did.
Well, Eric Berry said he used to work with a bloke who was Roger Rogerson's police superior officer when he was at the police academy, and and some of the memories he used to recount were rather memorable.
Memorable memories. They're the best kind. They're the clearest kind. I think Eric should give us some more details. Feel free to email us at bloodymurderpodcast at gmail.com.
Yeah.
If you have any interesting stories about Roger Rogerson, because we are looking into doing an episode soon.
Roger the Dodger.
And if there's one thing that sucks, is that if you do an episode and then you find out all the interesting stuff afterwards that people already knew but didn't tell you.
Hey, you remember we did an episode on Julian Knight?
Yeah.
I just found out that...
That's the Hoddle Street Massacre
the
guy.
Hoddle Street Massacre. He was actually proclaimed, was it a vexatious litigant?
Yeah.
For life in 2016.
Ah, so there's no hope of him ever not being a vexatious litigant.
That's right. I love that term.
It is pretty good. Funny you should say that, actually. My friend Kinnan O'Meara posted in our Facebook group regarding episode 14, the Hoddle Street Massacre. He said, when I was in grade 5, several kids in my class at Preston Primary School told the class their Hoddle Street Massacre experience. So some of them were actually there at the time. They hid under cars with their grandparents as he walked past shooting. We were on a trip to D4, which is Melbourne Central Police...
D24.
D24. Damn it. D24. Melbourne Central Police HQ at the time. So it was ironic
and they were
for a
going
number
to a
of
D4
reasons.
concert afterwards at M&M.
Well, yeah. When Kinnan was in grade 5, he was really huge into rap music about bitches and drugs.
Sweet.
He wasn't. He was probably into Kiss. He loves Kiss.
Now, we do want to give a shout out to a podcast. Podcast we listen to is a podcast about podcasters.
Could you say podcast again, or?
How would you explain this?
Okay, so I think you just said it. It's a podcast about podcasting where they speak to podcasters.
Yeah, and their process and how they put a show together, and all the people they have to interview and all the work they put in, and it's quite interesting.
Yeah, and they have a really interesting Facebook group. It's a good place to get recommendations for new podcasts and also to discuss podcasts that you're into or not into with other podcasty folk. Some of the people in the group actually make podcasts, but a lot of them are just avid listeners.
And yeah, that group has got huge now. When we joined, it was like a couple of thousand. Now it's like 10,000 people there.
Yeah, but a lot of people in the Facebook group don't realise it's also a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, they think it's just a Facebook group.
And a bunch of lovely people too.
From what I can gather. Also, while we're shouting out, I would like to thank History Dweebs by shouting them out for the shout out that they just gave us in the episode that they released yesterday about the murder of Eddie Gaydell. He was a little person who was involved in playing baseball for a while.
A dwarf.
Yeah, a dwarf. Don't they like little people?
Some of them are fine with dwarf.
Okay.
As far as I know.
Anyway, it's a really fun episode. Basically, it's about the circusization of baseball at the time. So History Dweebs are a great show. They're a bunch of characters, and they just go there. They say whatever the hell they want to say.
I mean, the Colonel is no Barney, is he? But,
they do some true crime and they do some other history stuff. So there's a lot of topics.
That Brandy, I'd take her over Tara.
Okay, so it looks like maybe we're going to be doing a host swap, and maybe I can go and work on History Dweebs, and maybe Brandy and Barney can start something over here in Australia.
Oh, la-di-da.
Sounds like a plan. Anyway, check them out. They're really great. If you like us, you will probably like History Dweebs if you don't already. And yeah, their Facebook group is really fun and definitely not safe for work or children.
Oh, no. Danny Leonard, a listener, also asked, he said, he asked, are you guys ever thought of doing something on H.H. Holmes and his murder castle?
In Chicago. Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing story. It's an awesome story. But because there's so many true crime podcasts, and what we're trying to do is sort of add to the conversation by doing crimes that are lesser known. So for us, doing a massive one like this that's been done a lot of times before is probably not going to happen unless like people are like, we just like hearing about it over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, I'm kind of done with that story. Also, there's a movie in production at the moment by Scorsese.
Yeah, starring Leonardo DiCaprio.
As H.H.
Yeah, which should be good. Scorsese. He knows how to make a film. So we also had a couple of people send us in a link about the Isdal woman, which is the mystery death haunting Norway for 46 years. Both Des Ackerman and Laura Phillips put the link on our Facebook, and I believe that you've had a look into this, huh?
I have. November 1970, the badly burnt body of a woman was found in a remote spot in a Norway valley. Someone had cut the labels off her clothes and scraped distinctive marks off her belongings as if to stop her from being identified. As police started investigating their death, they uncovered a trail of coded messages, disguises, and fake identities.
Ooh, okay, that's getting more interesting.
Are you intrigued?
I am.
So a man and his 2 young daughters find the body in this Norway valley.
That's probably not good for them.
The corpse is sprawled across some rocks with its arms extended in a boxer position, typical of bodies that have been burnt. I don't know, they're covering up their face, I guess.
Like a pugilist.
Like a pugilist.
A crispy pugilist.
Isdal is
Say
known...
it again. Isdal, Sam.
Isdal is known to some locals as Death Valley.
Oh, well, don't take your daughters hiking in Death Valley, maybe. It's probably not a good idea.
No. It was a site where people committed suicide in medieval times. And in the 1960s, some hikers had fallen to their deaths while trekking.
Yes, that is how you say it. Unless the hikers were in fact tracking, which I don't think they were.
The body was burnt all over the front, including the face and most of her hair. Strangely, it was not burnt on the back. It looked as though she had thrown herself back from a fire. She was so badly burnt that they could not imagine what she originally looked like. Police find a number of objects at the scene, including jewellery, a watch, a broken umbrella, and some bottles. Well, they're more like canteens, you know, like you
water
take
kind of bottles.
Or you take
things
camping
that
kind of thing.
people who go trekking take.
Shut up, Tara. The woman is not wearing the watch or her jewellery. Instead, they have been placed beside her. Some people say it looked like it was some kind of ceremony.
Yeah, does it?
Though, if you kill yourself, you take off all your jewellery and put it next to you. I've
haven't-
seen that in movies.
I haven't killed myself yet. Yeah. Oh God, that was morbid. Yeah. Don't follow that down. It was mostly meant to be a joke, but then I realised it wasn't fucking funny.
Police also find the remains of a pair of rubber boots and nylon stockings. She had been wearing a lot of clothes made of synthetic materials, and all the clothes had been heavily burnt.
Heavenly burnt? Is that when it feels good?
Heavily burnt.
Okay.
Adding to the mystery is the fact that the production labels had been cut off her clothes and rubbed off the bottles.
Maybe
at
she
the
was
scene.
embarrassed by how cheap all her stuff was.
Police find nothing at the scene to indicate who the woman was. Without a name, the woman becomes known as the Isdal woman. A few days later, police find a clue.
Just the one?
They find 2 suitcases at Bergen railway station's left behind luggage department. One of the suitcases contains prescription-free glasses.
Oh, fakey glasses.
Fakey glasses.
For when you want to look smart, but you aren't.
So there's a fingerprint on one of the pairs that matches a woman. The suitcase also contains clothes, several wigs, German and Norwegian money, and Belgian, British, and Swiss coins.
Was she the chick from The Americans?
I love
Because
that
she's
show.
cool. Yeah, that is a good show.
So Martha's on it, not in it as much. I love
Martha
Martha.
was the best. Season 1.
So-
Season 1, 2, 3. I don't know.
Also found were a comb and a hairbrush, cosmetics, some teaspoons, and a tub of eczema cream.
Wow, teaspoons always make me think of heroin.
Maybe she just ate a lot of yogurt.
Maybe she ate the eczema cream because her eczema was on the inside.
Initially, police were very optimistic because they thought the suitcases would help them identify the body, but soon they realised that all the labels that could have identified the woman, her clothing or belongings had been removed. Even the prescription sticker on the eczema cream, which would have shown the name of the doctor and the patient, had been scraped off. There is also a mysterious coded note in the case, which police will not crack until later.
As in, they have cracked it now? Or
They
you're
have.
saying, like, one day, they're so going to crack that?
I'll get to it.
No, I think, what if you conk out? What if you just stop halfway through?
There's one important piece of evidence in the suitcase, a plastic bag from Oscar Rothman's footwear store, a shoe shop, and Stavanger.
Uh-huh.
I find if I rush through the names, it sounds like I pronounce them correctly.
It makes it sound like you're a bit angry at them.
The owner's son, Rolf Rochflet, remembers selling a pair of rubber boots to a very well-dressed, nice-looking woman with dark hair. The boots he sold her appear to match the boots found on the body in the Isdal Valley.
Well, next to the body, right? Because she wasn't wearing them.
No, that's right. No, she was wearing her boots.
Oh, okay.
It's a jury, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't always
keep up,
listen when
Tara.
you talk.
Jesus,
I don't
Tara.
always listen when you talk. Sometimes I just hum the girl from Ipanema to myself.
Well, police believe that the umbrella found near the body was also brought from the store. Rolf says that the woman had made an impression on him because she took a long time choosing her boots, much longer than the average customer.
Maybe she was fussy.
She spoke English with an accent and had a calm and quiet expression. He also recalls a strong smell emanating from the woman, which later
was it eczema cream?
Well, later he thinks it may have been garlic.
I think it was just because of her inside mouth
She
eczema.
might have just had some pasta or something. I don't know.
Maybe she ate a whole pizza.
Do you tell people when they've got bad breath, or do you?
If I know them well, but it's weird. Like, some people get offended when you point out the things that they should be told. I'm generally a teller, but when I was in high school, a friend of mine, I told her she had all this like gunky like hair gel like clumped in her hair because it looked like someone had come in her hair.
Was it jizz?
Knowing her, it could have been. But instead of being like, oh, thanks, whoops, jizz hair, she was just like, you're so superficial. I can't believe how superficial you are. So, sometimes you've just got to leave people alone with their jizz hair.
It was a long time ago. I've forgiven you.
Yeah, well, that's why that's what it made you go kind of bald.
I'm not kind of bald. I've got a great head of hair. Using his description, police were able to trace the woman to a St. Zimmerman's hotel nearby, where she checked in as Fenella Lorch.
Well, that sounds like a fakey name.
Well, the problem, Fenella Lorch wasn't her real name.
Aha!
It emerges that the woman had stayed in several hotels in Norway using different aliases. And since most hotels require guests to show a passport and fill in a check-in form, this means she would have had several fake passports.
See, she just sounds more and more interesting. Shame about her jizz hair.
You want to hear some of the names she checked in as?
Oh, please. Is it like Irma Vater?
That's your name.
That's your name.
Claudia Nielsen, Alexia Zahn Merchant, Vera Jarl, Fenella Lorch, of course, and Elizabeth Leenhorfwa.
Oh,
the woman left a strong impression on Eldfrich Reisners.
Is that because of her garlic breath again, or some other reason?
Way too many vowels in these names. Who was a 21-year-old waitress at Hotel Neptune at the time. My first impression of her was one of elegance and self-assuredness.
Is that your Norwegian accent?
Yes.
Have you ever heard a Norwegian person?
I think it's solid, man.
Okay, just go with it.
She looked so fashionable. I wish to be able to mimic her style. In fact, I remember her winking at me. From my perspective, it felt as though she thought I'd been staring at her a bit too much.
Oh, Norway, I'm so sorry.
On one occasion, while I was serving her, she was in the dining hall, sitting right next to, but not interacting with, two German naval personnel, one which was an officer. So, police questioned several hotel staff. They learned that in addition to speaking English, the woman also used some German phrases. Kartoffeloff.
That's not a German phrase, it's something you made up.
I know all my German from Hogan's Heroes.
Yeah, well, that's my point entirely.
So they questioned the staff. Look, I've lost my place because of you.
Oh, because of me, not because of your terrible Norwegian accent that sounds like Vikings. That show Vikings that I have trouble watching.
That's a great show. That's a documentary.
Because of their weird accents. It sounds like baby talk.
They also learn that the woman has often requested a change of room. On one occasion, she asked to change rooms 3 times.
Well, fussy about shoes, fussy about rooms, pretty bad eczema.
Well, by now there are several rumours that the woman was a spy.
I think I like her.
There weren't too many foreign tourists in Bergen then, and the fact that the woman seemed wealthy and well-travelled sparked a lot of speculation.
Okay, which means that she's a shit spy. Because if you actually were a spy, wouldn't you be trying to fit in?
You'd be invisible.
And you wouldn't just be like, hey, everyone, look at how well-groomed I am and my smelly, smelly breath is going to get your attention.
Well, this was during the Cold War. There was definitely a lot of spies in Norway, including Russian spies.
Oh, duh.
There were also Israeli agents operating Norway, Mossad.
Israeli Asians.
So 3 years later, Mossad agents killed a man in Lillehammer.
Just to watch him die?
They had mistaken him for a terrorist.
I thought they got old Johnny Cash
Mossad
about
were in Norway. There were reports that the woman was seen observing the military test out new rockets in Western Norway. So police eventually cracked some of the coded note. But it's not that exciting.
Was it a shopping list?
It was just a list of all the places she'd stayed at. I reckon it was
all the guys she did when she was there.
I reckon it was just an expense report.
Yeah, I think it was probably mostly about penis size.
I mean, spies are bureaucrats as well, you want to get that money back.
Well,
right?
Yeah. Keep the receipts in
so,
code.
You want to hear about the autopsy?
I always want to hear about the autopsy, but I never want to watch a show about an autopsy. That's where I draw the line.
No. Well, they find an unexplained bruise on the right side of her neck.
Was it a hickey?
Well, isn't any bruise on her going to be unexplained?
Well, yeah, because she's not going to explain it.
Anyway, it could have been a result of a blow or a fall. The autopsy also finds that the woman had never been pregnant or had a child. So
it is me.
So it's a spy.
Oh, right, it's a spy.
Spies can't have kids.
Spies can't have kids. What, they're just infertile?
No, they're just not allowed to.
Well, that means the whole premise of the Americans is wrong.
Well, yeah. Her death is likely to have been a painful one. There were smoke particles in her lungs which showed that the woman was alive while she was burning. They also found traces of petrol on the ground below the woman's body, which means we can state with certainty that petrol had been used to set her alight. Experts also established that there were about 50 to 70 sleeping pills in her stomach.
Whoa, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's more than enough. Why needing fire with pills much? Sorry, I had to yo to that one. Why would she need to or someone else? I can just keep talking. I don't know what's going on.
Although they had not been fully absorbed into her bloodstream before she died. The autopsy concludes the woman died from a combination of carbon monoxide poisoning and ingesting a large number of sleeping pills.
It sounds like overkill.
The cause of her death is announced to be a probable suicide.
Why would she take a shit ton of sleeping pills and then go and start a fire?
Well, I have a theory.
What is your theory?
All right, she's obviously unhappy, and she wants to kill herself. I don't know why she's unhappy. She didn't leave a journal, so she takes all these sleeping pills, goes out into this valley, this unpopulated valley in Norway, lights a fire because it's cold. Sleeping pills start to take the effect, and she falls face first into the fire, and the fire just burns out.
I think if you're going to kill yourself because you're depressed, wouldn't you want to not maybe hike out into the middle of nowhere and start a fucking fire? Wouldn't you want to just maybe stay in the hotel and do it there?
Well, no, she's a spy, so...
So, maybe leave Norway so people aren't so sus on you?
Hey, if a spy dies in the field, other spies come along and clean their body up.
And there's no one to hear it.
And there's
do
no
they
one to
make
hear
a
about
sound?
it. No, what I'm saying is because it was in a remote location, her spy buddies couldn't pick up her body.
Well, that makes her a shit spy yet again.
Yeah.
I don't know. This just doesn't add up to me.
So what's your theory?
My theory is that you're going to just say that so that I accept your theory because I clearly don't have one.
My theory is better than your one that doesn't exist.
Well, it's certainly got a fatter head than my theory. I'll give it that much.
So without any further leads, the case is closed and the woman's buried in February 1971. She has a Catholic funeral because they think she's Catholic.
Do they think everyone's Catholic, or was there some evidence?
I don't know. That doesn't say. And then she's buried in a zinc coffin so she won't decompose, which is handy because they dig her up. They dug her up recently to do a DNA test on her.
Yeah.
Now, the DNA didn't match anyone that was in the system.
Well, it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. But it did say that she was of European descent.
Well, I mean, she's in Europe, so...
Well, it just means she's not Mossad.
Okay, but she might be Russian.
Right.
Perhaps.
So, there you have it.
That's very interesting, but it actually raises more questions for me than it answers.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to do a long story on it, because it's just, there's not enough there.
Yeah.
I want resolution.
Yeah, I want to know what really happened.
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk in this whiny voice until someone fucking tells me. I'm going to just be whiny until someone tells me. All right. Wow. Okay. Well, it was interesting, but it's left me feeling a little unfulfilled. But that's my natural state, so back to normal, I guess.
That's great, Tara. What have you got?
Alrighty. I have a murdering bitch. Dana Sue Gray was born... Oh, it's probably Dana, not Dana. Dana Sue Gray was born Dana Sue Armbrust on December 6th. Armbrust.
Oh, my mistake.
Yeah, 1957 in Southern California. Her father, Russell, was a hairdresser who was married 3 times before marrying her mother, Beverly, a former beauty queen. So
where did he work?
He worked at Hair of the Dog most of the time. I don't know. But there's all hairdressers are gay sort of old school way of thinking. But I think that Russell has shown everyone with his, well, actually more than 4 marriages that it is not true. Definitely not.
It could have been all beards. We don't know. I don't think it's important to the story, though, is it?
Really isn't at all. Anyway, apparently her mother, Beverly, was quite vain, and she went through money like it was water, and she had a few anger management issues. Russell divorced her after catching her tussling with an old woman who had pissed her off. She got in a bit of a 55 fisticuffs with an old lady.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I don't know. It didn't say. My favourite theory that I came up with, so it's kind of a wank, was that she was like maybe in a bathroom doing the whole Snow White evil stepmom routine, like mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? And then the old lady walked past and went, Christy Brinkley. And that made her angry because she wanted her to say you.
I don't like that story.
I
That
could come up with a better one.
Well, maybe the old lady stole their cat. That happened to me once. Some old lady stole my cat.
Yeah, but you didn't get in a tussle with them, did you?
I did a little bit.
No, you didn't. I was here for that, and you just merely accepted their strange elephant porcelain figurines that they left in the mailbox in exchange somehow for your cat.
Yeah.
That was odd.
Yeah, it was very strange.
I think they ate it.
Back to Dana.
Okay, are you sure? Okay, so her mum got in a fight with an old lady and her dad divorced her. Dana was only 2 at the time, and she rarely saw her father for the next decade. Beverly and Dana had a very tumultuous relationship. When her mum tried to discipline Dana, she would get revenge by stealing money from her purse and treating herself to candy. She was also prone to fits of rage and acted out to get attention. She had trouble fitting in at school, wasn't very studious, so she had bad grades, and she was suspended a lot for forging notes to get out of class. My best friend in high school constantly forged notes. She got out of everything. It was really cool, but I was too pissy and scared to do that. So I made my mum write them, and she
You made your mum forge your notes.
Yeah, from herself. She was getting pretty pissed at me by the end there. She said she could publish like volumes of excuse notes she'd written to get me out of sporting activities. Did you ever do anything like that, or are you a bit more of a wild card?
I was wild card. If I didn't want to do it, I just wouldn't show up.
Disorganized criminal.
That's right.
Yeah, handle the caning afterwards.
More of an impulse sort of criminal I was.
Yeah. That does sound more like you. Impulsive, like a burp. So when Dana was 14, her mother died of breast cancer. Seeing the nurses treat her mother made Dana decide that she wanted to be a nurse too. So, after her mother's death, Dana moved in with her father, her stepmother Jerry Davis, and Jerry's elderly mother-in-law from a previous marriage, Norma Davis. Dana was kicked out when her stepmother found weed in her room. That was harsh, Jerry. So at the age of 16, she moved in with a boyfriend. Dana was 5'2", pretty, blonde, and athletic, and seems to not have any trouble attracting the fellas. She was into extreme sports like windsurfing and skydiving. In her yearbook, she wrote that her favourite pastime was getting into trouble, and that her favourite place to be was in free fall. She's extreme.
YOLO Tara.
Yeah, YOLO Dana. When she completed high school in 1976, she was living with her skydiving instructor, Rob, who was several years her senior. I bet the other kids in her class thought she was really mature and cool.
Rad.
She became pregnant to him twice, but he talked her into getting abortions. He didn't want a child with a child, I guess, which is something she apparently resented. She graduated from nursing school in 1981 and married Tom Gray in 87. He was also into sports and had been harbouring a crush on her since high school. They settled in an expensive place in Canyon Lake, a gated community built around a lake and golf course that her father also lived in.
I'm sure it had canyons as well.
Yes, it had canyons in the lake, I believe. So anyway, she's living in the same hood as her dad now and her stepmom who kicked her out for smoking weed.
Jerry.
So I wonder if she'd hang outside her dad's place smoking joints and yelling at Jerry, "Fuck you!"
Is that what you'd do?
No, I'd probably do it at home, but I'd still say fuck you. She and her husband both worked, and they were making good money, but they were spending it more quickly than it came in. They had weird spending habits, man. They had 3 cars. There's 2 of them, and they have 3 cars. Like, does one of them drive 2 cars at once? Anyway. One of them was a brown Cadillac. They also had an ultralight airplane, a couple of boats, the house, and screen printing equipment. I'm pretty sure they had like 25 jet skis.
Hang on, you're complaining about the 3 cars. They have a plane?
Well, I mean, yeah. How else are they going to fly across the lake?
That seems a little excessive.
Well, it seems quite
and 2
excessive.
boats. How many boats do you need?
Well, I don't need any boats at all. But I believe, they needed a couple of boats. Well, they do have that lake there. And they need a boat each, a his and hers, like a pink boat and a blue boat.
And how are you going to get over the canyons?
In an airplane. It all makes sense. And the jet skis, they're just for decoration. So that was that. Her sister-in-law, Jenny Ward, said that her passion for possessions was nuts, not even normally greedy, crazy. Everything was sacrificed to the god of narcissism. Apparently, Dana bullied a senile great-aunt into putting her into her will, and her stepbrother said she'd walk through the great-aunt's place, pointing out what she wanted. She even told her, "When you die, I want this Chinese cup."
Probably a sweet Chinese cup.
I don't know, man. It's just it's a bit icky, isn't it? When you die, I want that chair.
Hey, you know why they measure bras in cups? Because boobs are full of milk and you drink milk in cups.
So are you implying that everyone's boobs are full of milk?
I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah, Barney's other podcast is just wise observations on life. It's called Barney's Brain, and it'll be dropping real soon.
Get back to Dana, please.
I want to talk more about your wise podcast about all women's boobs having milk in them, because that's a clever
Well, they're
thing.
meant to have milk in them eventually. That's what they're designed for.
Well, eventually, like when they're old.
I saw this awesome photo the other day of an elephant with boobs. Elephants actually have boobs when they have baby elephants.
Okay, do you mean kind of like udderish, like when a dog has puppies?
No, they have two big boobs, like a rack.
Elephant rack is not a thing.
It is. An elephant rack is a thing.
Do you understand why I would be assuming that you're making this shit
You just
up?
don't see them because they have those big, like,
Elephant rack.
legs.
Okay, I so don't believe you.
I'll show you
at
later.
all.
I was surprised too.
I'm not going to believe you again until you show me elephant titties.
Why would I make up elephant titties?
Because you're you, and this is the kind of shit that you do.
I swear to God, I'm not making up
You're
elephant
rehearsing
titties.
because we're going to the party later, and you're just trying to rehearse bullshits for the people that we're going to see.
It's true, I have been, but this one isn't one.
Elephant titties. Anyway, in order to live in the style she was to be accustomed to, Dana took out 2 mortgages on their house. She obtained several loans from her father and racked up a shit ton of credit card debt. When she inherited $7,500 from a deceased relative, do you think she used it to pay off her debts?
I bet she bought a jet ski.
Yeah, no, she actually got a tattoo of herself riding a jet ski on her back.
Right, with her fists in the air.
Yeah, woo!
Yo, woo! Topless.
Topless. Oh, well, clearly topless. No, she didn't do any of that. She actually took off to Europe and went on a delightful trip and left her husband at home. And when she got back, she started an affair with one of his friends who was in some band with him.
Classy.
And when this guy agreed to support her financially, she moved in with him. And she burned through $11,000 in 5 months. I wonder how many jet skis that is.
I would buy a buttload of Lego.
You would buy...
So much Lego.
You would.
I love Lego.
You do. I'm actually surprised how much Lego you buy. I think that you actually only had children as an excuse to buy Lego.
Well, I have to buy Lego for them so they won't play with my Lego because they lose everything. They pull apart all the figures and they just mix them all up.
I know.
Oh, it's infuriating.
It's a travesty, isn't it, Barney? And did you know that elephants have big tits?
Only the girl ones.
The inevitable bankruptcy, foreclosure, and separation from her husband followed. 3 months before the murders, Dana was fired from her job at the Inland Valley Regional Medical Center for stealing prescription opiates. She also got into a fight with one of her stepbrothers a couple of weeks before the murders. He'd stored some antique furniture at her place, but she refused to give it back to him because she's like an entitled hoarder. She left him a phone message saying, "Are you so pissed off you could stroke out and die? I hope so."
What do you mean?
To have stroke out, like have a stroke.
Oh, I thought you meant masturbating.
Yeah, she left in this message, "Are you so pissed off you could masturbate yourself to death?"
Yeah, you got some sweet magazines of elephant titties there.
Yeah, whenever I'm mad at someone, I pretty much just ask them if they're going to wank themselves to death.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
I really wish you would.
So,
but all right, fine.
Okay, so I'm storing my chair there.
Yeah.
My antique chair there. Can I have my chair back? No, I've been storing it. It's mine now.
Yeah, it's mine. Position is 9/10 of the law, motherfucker.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah, makes sense to you? You're on Team Dana?
Yep.
By early 1994, she was living in a trailer with a divorced machinist and his 5-year-old son. And to make money, she produced silkscreen printed T-shirts. And I know you're going to ask me what was on them, and I don't know, probably something lame like butterflies.
No, it's probably that jet ski of her riding a jet ski.
Ah, the topless.
Yeah.
It was a screen printing of her toplessly riding a jet ski.
Wow. I'd wear that.
You would wear that. She would probably sell that at this point. Anyway, Dana tried to organise a meeting with her estranged husband on Valentine's Day 1994 through his parents.
Valentine's Day, June 27th.
Oh, you're a lover, not a fighter. So anyway, her ex-husband knew her well enough not to let her know his address or phone number.
Wise.
Yeah, that's the kind of breakup people need to have. Although he initially said he'd meet up with her, he got a bad feeling about it and he didn't show up. Unbeknownst to him, Dana had taken a life insurance policy out on him, which would have been enough to pay off the mortgages on the Canyon Lake house. It's believed she planned to do him in to make bank. Eek. Which happens all the freaking time if you watch a lot of Forensic Files and 48 Hours. Constantly doing it. It's normally men doing it to their wives, but it's like a third of those shows are just about that.
Well, Lego are always bringing out, new Lego.
Lego will bring out new Lego.
All the time. So you need more money.
You need more money? Okay, so you're saying that they're killing for Lego, the Barney Black story.
Well, I'd buy Transformers too.
You would?
They're pretty sweet.
I doubt you'd actually kill anyone, though, because you'd feel really mean afterwards.
I wouldn't kill anybody.
No. Anyway, when this didn't pan out, she found someone else nearby to kill, because it was Valentine's Day after all.
June 27th.
Her choice of victim was, in fact, a big fuck you to Dana's stepmother, Jerry. 86-year-old Norma Davis was the mother of her stepmother, Jerry's previous husband.
Yeah, he was looking after her, though.
No, Jerry was looking after
Jerry
her.
was, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure what happened to her previous husband. Like, maybe he died or something or maybe he lived a long way away, because it seems like Jerry was Norma Davis's sort of main family.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she'd been living with Dana's dad when Dana lived there when she was 14 to 16. So she had since gotten her own place, also in Canyon Lake. All these people living in Canyon Lake. I'd move to the other side of the
it's
country.
a town. People live in it.
Yeah, but it's actually a gated community. Like, it doesn't sound like a very big area.
Yeah.
And it sounds boring. Anyway, although murdered on Valentine's Day, Norma's body wasn't found until 2 days later when a neighbour grew concerned and went over to check on her. Norma had been strangled and stabbed 11 times, and 2 knives were left, sticking in her body.
Ah.
Yeah, and the slashes to her neck were so deep that they nearly took her head right
That
off.
seems like a little bit of overkill. Bit of anger there, maybe?
Yeah, just really gross and stabby. Police found that the phone cord had been cut, and they also found a footprint from a small-sized running shoe at the scene, but that was pretty much all they found. There was no evidence of a break-in, so police believe she must have known who her attacker was. Less than an hour later, Dana was at Bally's Wine Country Cafe charging crab cakes and scampi to Norma Roberts' credit card.
Wow, that sounds like country music lyrics.
It does a little bit. It's dark enough to be it. The next stop was an eyebrow wax and a visit to the hair salon. She told the stylist she was on a shopping spree.
Did she get her anus darkened?
I think she got it bleached. It was the 90s.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Bleaching is so 90s.
Yeah,
Nowadays,
totally.
you just get it darkened.
Yeah, you get it. Just, I see an anus and I want to paint it black. So she also spent $511 on a black suede jacket and several pairs of cowboy boots, $161 on a pair of diamond drop earrings, and she used Robert's credit card to pay for all of it. On the way home, she picked up 2 bottles of Smirnoff vodka.
So no Lego, no Transformers.
No, but she did get vodka, but only 2 bottles, so it was probably a weeknight.
MLP?
My Little Pony?
Yeah.
Not so much.
Really? They're pretty collectible.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything about this extreme rad blonde woman that says collectible children's toys to you?
Beanie Babies?
All right. I don't think you're getting Dana's vibe at all, mate.
No?
Nah.
All right. Well, that's probably good.
Yeah.
I think she's pretty horrible.
Well, yeah, she is. She's quite horrible. She's a bitch in a Cadillac.
I mean, I don't support crimes of passion, but killing for money?
Oh, killing for money so that you can buy pointless shit as well.
That just seems really lame.
Yeah, she's it's bizarre. It's certainly some kind of narcissism going on here. Anyway, you want some more?
Sure.
2 weeks later, on February 28th, Dana parked her Cadillac outside June Roberts' place, also in Canyon Lake. She's terrifying the Canyon Lake region. She left her boyfriend's 5-year-old son in the car. Just remember that. And went inside on the premise of borrowing a book from June, who she knew from when she also was living in the area. Apparently it was some sort of like self-help book or something.
She likes self-help books.
I don't think she liked books.
I think she should have read a few more of those.
Yeah, it would have been wise. I don't get the vibe she's much of a reader, actually. I feel like she's more just like a trying on clothes and looking in mirrors. That sounds more like the vibe to me. And getting her anus bleached. So June let her in, and Dana followed her into the house.
While the kid's in the car.
Yep, 5-year-old. Boyfriend's 5-year-old in the car, out the front. And this is what Dana said of the attack. I was right behind her. I choked her with the phone cord. She was holding on, trying to get the cord off. I pulled her down. She was on her back. I hit her in the head with a bottle. I lost it. I was so consumed. I don't know the time span in there. It must have been pretty quick. She must have stopped moving, and I left. As I walked out, she had a little wallet thing. I grabbed it. We went out and proceeded to shop up a storm.
Oh, that's some dark shit.
I know.
Well,
I know. It's so normal.
At least
to her.
she didn't take the 5-year-old in to witness a murder. You know, kids are very impressionable at that age.
Yeah.
You shouldn't show them murder.
This is in your podcast, your wisdom podcast as well, isn't it?
Oh, right, yeah.
So she literally killed this poor woman and then went straight to the shops with the 5-year-old boy who'd been waiting in the car. She didn't even get changed or anything.
That's brutal.
I just got to pop in, kill someone, steal their money, and go shopping. At the scene of both murders, there were a lot of valuables left behind, such as expensive jewellery, but the only things missing were cash and credit cards. June Roberts' daughter told police that her mother's bank called to report a heap of activity on her credit card the day she was killed. Do you want to know what kind of shit this homicidal entitled chick bought after killing poor unsuspecting June?
Absolutely.
Swimsuits, cowboy boots, a ski mask. I'm picturing her in all three of those things. Vodka, opium perfume, expensive shoes, and a massage at a fancy spa. I guess strangling old ladies can kind of get your shoulders a bit tense.
What year is this?
It's in the 90s.
So she could have bought the PlayStation.
Oh my God, she's not going to buy things for you, Barney.
Right.
just stop with that. It's not going to happen. Clerks, hairdressers and waiters described the woman who used the cards as a petite, well-dressed blonde who drove a brown Cadillac and was sometimes accompanied by a young boy. The residents of Canyon Lake were terrified. Canyon Lake. I think I called it Canyon Lake. They were terrified now that 2 murders had been committed in their community. Many of them, including Dana's father and stepmother, would sleep with a gun next to their beds. So, 5'2" of terror. On March 10th, so 10 days after the last murder, Dana went to an antique store called the Main Street Trading Post. She said she went there to buy some frames to put pictures of her deceased mother in. Dorinda Hawkins, a mother of 8, was working alone in the shop that day. Dana said that the greeting Dorinda had given her was condescending and that she was trying to make her feel insignificant by crossing her arms when she said, "Can I help you?" So Dana strangled her.
Really? Just because she crossed her arms and said, "Can I help you?"
I actually really doubt Dana's version of events on pretty much everything because she just blames all of her shortcomings on other people and takes no responsibility for her own shit. Some sources say that she used a length of rope. Others say it was a telephone cord to strangle her with. Dorinda could barely breathe and was pulling at the rope, asking what she was doing. Dana pushed her down to her knees and increased the pressure. She stepped on her head to get more leverage to choke her, all the while saying, "Relax, just relax." After choking her out and leaving her for dead, Dana took the money from her purse and the cash register, which totaled a pissy $25. What is the freaking point, Dana?
Did she survive?
Yeah, she did. Thank God. But then Dana went on another shopping spree using June Roberts' credit card again.
Do you think she thought she was dead?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
All right.
I think that Dorinda Hawkins just... I think she might have somehow just had a stronger constitution than the others, and so she didn't die from the similar type attacks.
Well, you do lose consciousness, apparently.
Yeah, but that was this chick's MO. Like, she'd strangle them till they lost consciousness, and then she'd bash the shit out of them, or she'd stab them, or she'd just, like, find whatever was handy and fuck their shit up.
Yeah, you did say that.
So that was sort of her thing. So fortunately, Dorinda Hawkins survived the attack and told police that she thought her assailant had killed before from the way she went about it, and that she may have worked in the medical profession due to the calm way that she told her to relax. So that's pretty observant for someone who's strangling you. She was able to give a good description of Dana, which was the basis for a pretty accurate sketch circulated by the police. In response, Dana cut her hair, dyed it red, and got a perm. Yet another reason not to commit murder. You might have to go and get a clown hairstyle to disguise yourself.
Like a perm, like Ronald McDonald kind of perm.
That's what it sounds like to me. Killer clown. Brutal. The police were quickly informed of Dana's change in appearance by shop assistants who had served her using the deceased woman's credit cards after her clown makeover. The police had questioned Jerry Ambrush, which was Dana's stepmother, over the murder of her mother-in-law, June Roberts, and they'd stayed in touch. So Jerry told detectives about Dana's new Ronald McDonald makeover and told them that she suspected that Dana might actually be the killer. So her stepmom's onto her. Turns out Jerry was right about Dana. Dana had already committed her next murder on March 16th, which was the day that police started surveillance on her. Unfortunately for 87-year-old Dora Beebe, the police didn't start tailing Dana until after she had killed Dora. Dora Beebe lived in nearby Sun City, which was another golfing hotspot for retirees. Dana obtained entrance into her house by pretending she was lost and knocking on the door to ask for directions. Dana didn't actually know Dora and claims that she sighed irritably and said, "I don't have time for this," before inviting her inside. Not realizing the petite blonde was a money-hungry killing machine, Dora turned her back on Dana to look for a street directory. Don't turn your back on Dana. Dana said of the murder, "She turned her back on me, continuing to bitch. I choked her with the phone cord and I hit her in the head with an iron. That was it. As I remember, it was not much of a fight." She was 87 years old, Dana. What did you expect? UFC? Anyway, apparently she hit her a lot, like several times with the iron, and the crime scene was really bloody.
Ugh.
Yeah. And so I don't know how she comes out of these crime scenes not looking like a murderer and going shopping.
Oh, she'd have blood all over her.
You would think. Anyway, Dana said that she still didn't know where she was after the murder, but it's bullshit because within minutes she managed to find Dora's bank and withdraw $2,000 in cash. Her post-murder treat yourself action this time was a smoothie and vitamin supplements at a health food store, a briefcase, and some gourmet food, all bought with Dora's forged checks.
I'd buy a sweet ride, a new bike.
Another jet ski, perhaps.
Yeah.
A new bike. You already have a bike that you don't use.
Yeah, I know, but it's only got one gear. And I thought...
You want to do some speed racing?
Well, I thought Brunswick was pretty flat, but
it is.
It's actually, there's some hills.
Where?
There's some slight inclines.
No, there aren't. Barely.
Well, anyway, it needs more than one gear.
It's really quite flat here.
Well, I'm lazy.
Next time we're wandering around, I'm going to go, do you think that's a hill? What about that? Is that a hill?
You're a hill.
Yeah, I am a hill. I'm fucking Hill Street Blues, motherfucker. Okay, so the police task force had been following Dana on what looked like routine errands to the bank, drugstore, and supermarket. I'm Jonah Hill. Hamburger Hill.
Yeah.
I
know you're Benny Hill.
I'm Benny Hill. Yeah, I'm going to chase the elephants and try and touch their titties. Okay, the police task force had been following Dana on what looked like routine errands to the bank, drugstore, and supermarket. The cops were watching her unload shopping bags from the trunk of her Cadillac when they learnt of Dora's death. And that's when they came to the horrible realization that they had been following Dora's killer on another of her post-murder shopping sprees.
She's a slippery sucker, isn't she?
Yeah, not anymore. I mean, they're going to catch the fucking bitch now. Good. But, my God. Okay, the urge to kill and the urge to shop are really connected, apparently. When Dana Sue Gray was arrested later that day, yes, shut her down. Police searched her place and found BB's credit cards in her underwear drawer, a closet full of new clothes with the tags still attached. So she's not even fucking wearing this shit, man. Several boxes of Nike Air athletic shoes, a purple boogie board, a $1,000 Trek mountain bike.
Oh, she did get a bike.
Yeah, you would have done that. Unopened bottles of opium perfume. Apparently, she talked about her new boogie board all the way back to the station.
Yeah? Did it have like one of those leg straps? Because you can't lose your boogie board in the surf.
I just don't know. I guess so, because I'm not sure like how long you can actually talk about a boogie board for, because they're not particularly interesting. They also found jewelry, food, liquor, a ski mask, a purse with nearly $2,000 stuck in the washing machine, June Roberts' bank book, and keys taken from the antique store where Dorinda Hawkins was attacked. I got desperate to buy things, Dana told detectives. Shopping puts me at rest. I had this overwhelming need to shop.
Lame.
Yeah. Detectives showed Dana's photo to Dorinda Hawkins, and she identified her as her attacker. When I saw the photo, she said later, I had cold chills run down my back. I knew it was her. I'm positive that they got her, thank God. Well, she's right about that. For 4 years, Dana maintained that she was innocent by reason of insanity. She said that stress over her finances, a miscarriage and divorce had caused her to drink a lot and go off a medication for depression, which then led her to disassociate and kill people. Nobody was really buying this shit.
No, good.
Just before her trial, she agreed to plead guilty to robbing and murdering 2 women and attempting to murder another, accepting a life sentence for murder and evading the death sentence. A condition of the plea was that she would not be charged with the murder of her step-grandmother, Norma Davis. Gray's agreement, according to the Associated Press, meant that she would not appeal any of her convictions either. So they're like, just fucking put her away. Let's not deal with any of her shit
She's
anymore.
going to die in jail.
Yeah. Gray received life without parole and was incarcerated in the California Women's Prison in Chowchilla. Now, I found out that you could have bought a pair of her used panties on one of those horrible Murderbilia websites.
And if you go to our Patreon account...
yeah, we're going to set that up.
No,
and
not
it's
really.
us that bought it. She had a pair of plain white panties with the name Dana Sue Gray and the number W76776 scrawled at the crotch for sale for $250, and some psycho actually bought them. Like, what do? Wander around their lounge room with them on their head, rubbing them? Maybe they're framed. They were kind of granny panties. They're not particularly hot to me.
What would you do with them?
Well, that's what I was thinking. Maybe it was a woman who is the same size as her and she wears them.
And has the same name.
Yeah.
And doesn't want to lose them.
Yeah, well, that would make sense. Hey, did you notice that I said the word panties a couple of times then?
You did. I know you don't like that word.
No, I really don't like the word panties. But, like, hanging around with you for this goddamn long made me kind of just have to deal with it because you used to torture me with the word panties.
That's the worst sentence I've ever heard. I've been desensitized to the word panties by you.
Well, it's true.
I don't like that sentence.
Oh, my God. Seriously?
Uh-huh.
You should write me a 1-star review and say I'm a psychopath. No, okay. You even got your kids involved in this. Remember we were shopping one day and I was looking at handbags or something and you got your oldest son to come up to me and go, hey, Tara, are you shopping for panties?
I did. That was years ago.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he was only like 7.
Hey, yeah, that's got to be like 5 years ago. That was the greatest day of my life. And you looked so uncomfortable.
Well, I fucking wonder why. I'm used to children being in the car when I commit my crimes. But yeah, so I've just had to adjust to the word panties and just get over it so that I take the power away from you.
Oh, well, that's sad. Hey, what happened to Dana? Is she still in jail?
Yeah, she's in jail. She'll
Still
be
alive?
there forever. Still alive.
Oh.
Yeah. Apparently she like whinges all the time about how the food's not good enough and she wants a mirror. And she wants her chiropractor to come in, but they're just like, shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shut up. Exactly. Good story.
Yeah, I'm surprised by it. It's it just, I mean, none of them really make sense, but that's particularly bizarre because I just couldn't, I don't know, I would just feel so absolutely terrible if I like killed someone that I couldn't enjoy the jet ski that I bought afterwards with my ill-gotten gains. What do you got?
Cowra.
Yeah, tell me about this.
Cowra is the murder town.
Well, because I've got a friend, my friend Stewie's from Cowra, but he got out of there around university age, and I guess that's why he's still alive.
That's right. Cowra is a town in the central west region of New South Wales. It's about 213 miles west of Sydney, which is 344 kilometres for you metric people. Presently, it has a population of 9,730. Though in 1944, its population was much, much bigger, for it housed a prisoner of war camp.
Oh, they're always a fun and happy place, aren't they?
Yeah, where over 4,000 Axis military personnel and civilians were detained, mostly Japanese. The prisoners also included 2,000 Italians and Koreans who had served with the Japanese military.
Okay, I got to say that every one of those nationalities are renowned for making really awesome food, but I bet since there was a war on, they didn't give them the ingredients to do that.
Well, although the POWs were treated in accordance with the 1929 Geneva Convention, relations between the Japanese POWs and the guards were poor, due largely to the significant cultural differences.
Well, yeah, like language and
everything.
And everything else.
And the war going on.
Yeah.
Them being the enemy and all that.
Yeah, like, you know, we would have killed some of their guys, they would have killed some of our guys.
Well, a riot by Japanese POWs at a war camp in New Zealand just the year before had led to security being tightened at Cowra. They installed several Vickers and Lewis machine guns.
When you said Vickers, I was just picturing like priests and thinking how unhelpful that would be against Japanese prisoners of war.
See, when I hear Vickers, I think of gin.
So
you
now
think of priests, I think of gin.
I'm thinking of drunk priests now.
All right. So anyway, they got the Vickers machine guns in there to augment the rifles carried by Australian soldiers, which was composed mostly of old or disabled veterans.
Okay, because they're the ones that didn't make the cut to go overseas.
Yeah,
huh?
or young men considered physically unfit for frontline service, like, you know, flat feet or a bit slow or...
Red hair.
Red hair. Or the only son in the family. Sometimes I think they wouldn't send the only son in the family.
Maybe if they were farmers or something. I don't know the finer points, but it was a dark time.
Ah, you can look that shit up.
Yeah, but we didn't, did we?
August 5, 1944. It was 1:50 a.m., a clear moonlit night, and the largest prisoner of war breakout in modern military history was about to begin.
Wow, that sounds like the start of an awesome poem.
It does, doesn't it? More than 1,000 Japanese prisoners launched a mass suicide attack on their guards. To the Japanese, the disgrace of capture could finally be overcome by dying in armed battle.
That's one way to look at it.
Armed with crude weapons, 4 groups of approximately 300 Japanese threw themselves onto the barbed wire fences and into the firing line of the Vickers machine gun. Protected only by baseball mitts, blankets and coats, and using their comrades as a human bridge to cross the barbed wire, more than 350 Japanese clawed their way to freedom.
Now that is what I call teamwork.
Some of those who did escape committed suicide immediately afterwards to avoid recapture.
Oh, well, I guess if you were going to kill yourself anyway, like, you'd just go all out, huh?
Within minutes of the start of the breakout attempt, Privates Ben Hardy and Ralph Jones manned the No. 2 Vickers machine gun and began firing into the first wave of escapees. They were soon overwhelmed by the wave of Japanese prisoners who had breached the lines of barbed wire. Before dying, Private Hardy managed to remove and throw away the gun's bolt, rendering the gun useless.
Okay, that was smart.
Some brave shit. This prevented the prisoners from turning the machine gun against the guards.
Okay, that's very smart.
All escapees were captured during the following week. A total of 107 POWs were wounded. 231 Japanese prisoners died.
Wow.
Along with 4 Australian soldiers.
Only 4?
Yeah.
I guess it was more of a suicide mission than a homicide mission, huh? Guess you couldn't really kill an armed soldier with a baseball glove.
Hey, do you remember we had in the 80s we had a mini-series?
Yeah, the Cowra Breakout.
Yeah, Australian only thing.
Yeah.
Though, strangely enough, from the tragedy of war and the Cowra Breakout came a long-lasting friendship between the people of Cowra and the nation of Japan.
That is a strange thing.
There is much in Cowra today which serves as a reminder of these events. There is a 5-hectare Cowra Japanese garden, the largest of its type in the southern hemisphere. The garden is connected to the site of the breakout and the former prisoner of war camp by Sakura Avenue, translating to Cherry Tree Avenue in English.
That sounds pretty.
Sakura Matsuri is a major event on Cowra's tourism calendar, celebrating the birth of spring.
I thought Cowra was more like Country Women's Association bake sales and pavlovas and shit.
It attracts performers from across Australia and around the world. Visitors have the opportunity to experience traditional elements of Japanese culture.
Do they lock
such
them
as
in a prison camp?
Geishas and bukake and anime and
very strange child porn laws.
use panty vending machines.
Vending machines with Dana Sue's panties in them.
So that sounds awesome. It's celebrated annually in September when the cherry blossoms are at their peak.
Well, that's lovely.
Though, did the Cowra breakout curse this town? Did it, Tara?
You know what? Yeah, it did. It did.
There seems to be a lot of murder that does not match this small country town's population.
Well, yeah. What, like most of them got murdered?
Oh no, there's a lot more to come.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like because you said no, just do
Okay,
it.
January 19. let's fast forward to January 1959. A 64-year-old shearer's cook, William John Gleason, was found on a wooden seat in Cowra's main street on a Friday evening in late January, suffering from a severe head wound. Gleason died in hospital about 5:30 a.m. the following morning. The post-mortem showed that he had a fractured skull.
Wow.
No one has ever been charged.
Whoa.
June 1960, the disappearance of Isa Chambers from a property near Cowra remains a mystery. Ms. Chambers was 39 when she went missing. Isa had arranged to pick up two friends and drive into Cowra to see a movie matinee, but she never turned up.
Oh, what do you think she was going to go see?
1960, Some Like It Hot?
Some Like It Hot would have to be my choice.
Ben-Hur?
It's Ben-Hur, but that wouldn't be
big.
as interesting.
So it was a most unusual occurrence for the punctual and reliable Isa. When asked about her failure to turn up, Isa's husband told a friend she had walked out on the family on June 1 and had not been seen or heard from since.
Oh, did they think he did it?
But in 1981, human bones were found in a fox's den on the property.
A fox took my Isa.
So the husband was committed to stand trial for her murder, but it was found that he had no case to answer to because the missing persons file on Ms. Chambers went missing in 1980.
It was a missing persons
So they
file.
lost all the evidence. So he might have done it.
They lost the evidence and then just went, nah, know what? Just go home, dude.
Yeah. June 1963, a 12-year-old girl was killed when she was stabbed about 20 times in a park at Cowra. She was Jill Margaret Bailey of Macquarie Street, Cowra. Police said the girl left home after lunch and rode her bicycle in the caravan park. A man was alleged to have stabbed the girl in the chest and dragged her through the park to the riverbank, stabbing her repeatedly in the back and the chest. A woman called the Cowra police and an ambulance took the girl to hospital. She died within minutes of reaching the hospital. That's unsolved.
Okay, see, I'm starting to think that maybe Cowra isn't cursed. Maybe the police in Cowra at the time were just really shit at their jobs.
Yeah, maybe.
You know? I said at the time, by the way, at the time, not now.
December 11, 1965.
Armistice Day. No, that's November.
Donald McKay was shot dead at the Cowra Bowling Club. He disturbed a man breaking into the club.
Let me guess, unsolved?
Unsolved. April 1987, Georgina Watmore and Catherine Holmes died in a gingerly circuit home after being bashed with a heavy, sharp instrument.
A heavy and sharp instrument?
They say maybe
like an axe?
An axe handle.
Oh, okay.
Or something. Or maybe the blunt end of the axe.
Oh.
Ms. Watmore was still alive when she was found at 1:15 p.m. but died on the way to hospital. Ms. Holmes was already dead, suffering from the head wounds.
Oh.
Their murder remains a mystery, and that has haunted Cowra for 30 years. They're still trying to solve that one.
Well, I hope they're still trying to solve several of these.
Yeah, they both worked at the Edgell Pea factory.
I like the pea canning factory. It should be easier to say.
And they went out for a night at the pub.
Yeah.
Then some people came back with them from the pub when the pub shut, and they had a few more drinks, turn the stereo up, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We all do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then their guests left, and Georgina decided to stay. It's Catherine's place.
Oh.
And they shared a bed together. No,
Okay.
They weren't lesbians or anything.
No,
just,
you can do that without everyone
whatever.
touching each other's beds.
So someone snuck in and killed them.
Wow, I wonder if it was someone who had been there before. Although I'm thinking they would have to have looked into that.
It was thoroughly investigated.
Wow, shit.
Yeah, so that was 1987.
What do you think it is, Japanese ghosts?
I don't know. June 2003, Christy Lee Williams died from a single stab wound to the chest. And to date, the killer has not been identified, despite a $100,000 reward being offered. And she was only 22.
I'm going to say maybe rethink going to Cowra because it doesn't sound like a very safe place.
That's a lot of murder.
That is a lot of murder for a place with a population that small.
But the murder which really shocked and appalled me happened on June 30, 2008.
Okay, so those were just warm-up murders.
They were warm-up murders. Now, let me just warn you, listener, this one's particularly harsh.
All right.
It does involve some children, and yeah.
Okay.
I've got a thick skin when it comes to this kind of stuff, but I found this really upsetting.
Yeah, no, you do and you don't, particularly the kids stuff.
Okay. John Walsh was born in Northern Ireland, and at some point, I could not find info on this, he moved to Sydney, Australia. He soon met Jean, a woman, who had moved to Australia from Aberdeen.
A lot of women in Australia in this period of time were called Jean. It was a
They
very
were.
popular name.
Though, some of the information I found on this, they called her Mabel.
Maybe Jean was her nickname.
No. Anyway, she moved from Aberdeen when she was 16.
Because she looked like Jean Simmons.
So John and Jean, they have 3 children together. And then the couple moved from Sydney west to Cowra in the late 90s. Mm-hmm. Bad move, I think.
Yeah. I know it has that like big garden, but I think that's just a trap to lure you in so you can get murdered.
Yeah. Their daughter Shelley became a police officer and moved to Sydney and married a fellow police officer. And they had 2 children, Kevin and Jamie.
Okay.
Jamie's a girl's name. After she split with her husband, Shelley and her children moved to Cowra to look after her parents, as her mother Jean had fallen ill and her father John was suffering depression after his brother, James, Shelley's uncle, had been jailed for murder in Scotland.
Oh, wow.
And for the sudden suicide of his son, brother of Shelley.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you following? So there's a bit of tragedy in this family.
Yeah, there's a lot of tragedy in this family, and I feel like the rest of the story is probably going to contain more.
Yeah, it's going to get worse. John and Jean would look after Shelley's 7-year-old son Kevin and daughter Jamie 5 when she worked at a local police station in nearby Parks.
Yeah.
On the morning of June 30, 2008, it was business as usual. There were the familiar words of a mother to her children. "Have a good day at school," Shelley Walsh said as she left the youngsters in the care of their grandparents. Her father's response was a bit weird. He said, "No, they won't."
Maybe he's just a curmudgeon-y old bastard.
Yeah. "I didn't think anything of it because that's just Dad," Shelley said later.
Curmudgeon-y old dude.
Okay. All right, you can do this, Bunny. After she left, John Walsh killed his wife by stabbing her and hitting her in her head with a lump hammer, which he nicknamed Fred.
He nicknamed the fucking hammer?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
He then drowned his granddaughter in the bath and then began beating on his grandson around the head with the same hammer he used to kill his wife.
Oh, dude.
He then took their lifeless bodies and tucked them into their beds.
Okay.
That's the grandkids.
That's not a good day.
You're not going to like this, Tara.
I already don't like this.
He also drowned the family dog, wrapped it in plastic and put it under the children's bed, later telling police he was worried that there would be no one left to look after it.
So he was concerned about the dog, but not so much about his family?
John Walsh then waited for his daughter to return to the house to collect the children.
Oh, God, I hope Shelley has a gun.
So after her shift ended, Shelley Walsh returned and was surprised to see her mother lying on her bedroom floor, but was told by her father she was sick. John then offered his daughter a cup of tea. Shelley then entered the children's bedrooms where she found their bodies tucked into bed. As she made the grim discovery, John Walsh crept into the bedroom and attacked her from behind with an axe.
Oh, Jesus.
While attacking her, John Walsh told his daughter, "I am doing this because I love you. When I am done with you, I am going to Newcastle to kill your ex-husband. We are all better off this way. This is the way it has to be."
Whoa.
So she's bleeding pretty heavily from her head wound.
Shelley's
Shelley's escaped.
Serious shit, man.
She's ran out the front door and she's went to the neighbour's house for help. Neighbour Vince Anderson said he and his wife locked the door behind Senior Constable Shelley Walsh, fearing the axeman would try to enter. Mm-hmm. She said,
Here's Johnny.
She said they're all dead in there. She survived the attack but was left with severe lacerations to her head, a fractured skull and torn brain linings. Despite her serious head wound, she was conscious and talking to police officers when they arrived. So John Walsh has fled. He's on the lam. He's scalped.
Wow, okay. After, wiping out all of his daughter's family. Well, all of his own family.
Police released photographs of him and asked people to watch out for his silver Toyota Avalon sedan with New South Wales plates.
Mm-hmm.
John Walsh checked into the 4-star Highway Inn Motel in Hay, which is about 250 miles from Cowra, 400 kilometres, about 6:45 p.m, and appeared calm as he ordered breakfast and went to his room. According to the motel proprietor, John Whitehead, Mr. Whitehead said he recognised him from the nightly news checked the number plate of his car and called 000.
Oh, that's like our 911 if
Yeah.
You're American.
Police arrived from far and wide to arrest him. Mr. Whitehead, flanked by police, knocked on the door to announce he had brought up his milk. Here's your milk, you murdering bastard.
Here's your milk, cunt.
The police on either side of the door made their arrest when John Walsh opened the door. About 200 people, including dozens of police officers, filed into St. Raphael's Catholic Church to farewell 52-year-old Jean Walsh and her grandchildren, 7-year-old Kevin and 5-year-old Jamie. Among the mourners was, of course, the children's mother, Shelley Walsh.
Yeah.
She issued a statement through the New South Wales Police Association describing her grief as overwhelming.
Well, I would say that would be the right word.
Understatement. She also thanked the community for its support and asked for time to grieve privately. The children's father told the congregation how privileged and proud he was to be their father. John Walsh was given 2 life sentences. He was also sentenced to a minimum of 15 years for killing his wife and a 12-year term for the attempted murder of his daughter, both of which will run concurrently.
Wow. Can I pause you for questions, or would you rather later?
Just a second.
Okay.
A couple of years after he was sentenced, Shelley agreed to an interview to help others because it appeared to her that her father's depression led to his murderous act.
Right.
She believed it was her brother's suicide a few years before the murders that started the deadly rampage. It just hit us out of the blue. Overnight, my parents were old. For Dad, there was a huge change. He just didn't want to do anything. He stopped playing lawn bowls, stopped socialising with people. It was shocking. He just wasn't himself anymore. He also refused to get counselling.
Well, those guys, those old school Aussie guys back in the day, like, it was definitely seen as a massive sign of weakness to seek some kind of help for psychological issues.
Men are a lot like this. These still are.
At least there's a little more discussion around it now. There just wasn't then.
Looking back, wondering, had we approached him? Had we done something? Would the outcome be different? Would we have stopped the killings? Shelley also recalled the family's reaction to seeing the news that Walsh's brother James, her uncle, had committed a murder in Scotland. Dad wasn't different. I remember him saying if anyone in the family was going to do something like that, it would be him because he's always been borderline crazy. That was about the extent of Dad's reaction.
So he's really bottling everything up.
I don't know if that gave Dad the idea. We'll never know. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because there's nothing he can say that's going to be an explanation. I can't get Mum back, I can't get the kids back, but everything else in life I can get back. And the more I do, the less he has, because if I give in, he wins, and he's taken enough.
Hear. Wow, okay, that's really powerful. She's very strong.
Yeah, I heard this interview with her on A Current Affair, and it was, some pretty moving stuff.
So did she visit, does she visit her dad in prison?
She did a couple of times. Early on, she visited him and asked him why he did it, and he said he didn't know.
Right.
She visited him one more time. She said he was quite chatty, but wouldn't chat about that day.
Right, okay, just sort of everything else.
And
Push it down.
And he also didn't really ask her any questions about her life.
Right.
Yeah, and she said she's not visiting him anymore. This will be the last time I'm here.
Okay. Is she still a policewoman?
Well, not an active policewoman.
No.
She can't have handcuffs and guns because of what's happened to her.
Yeah.
So she works at the police academy.
Oh, so she trains people.
She trains people. She's also an advocate for, she's not an advocate for domestic violence.
No, I don't think she'd be into that.
She's anti-domestic violence.
Yeah, she's an advocate for, I guess, survivors and victims of
That's
domestic
right.
violence. Yeah,
she's an advocate for survivors.
Better way to say that.
And she's won lots of awards for that too. She's an extremely brave woman.
Yeah, well, yeah, very resilient.
Yeah.
Did she remarry or anything?
She does have another partner, and she's happy now.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And did she have more children?
No, she said she gets asked that a lot, and she's decided not to have kids because she thinks she would stalk them, just follow them around everywhere.
Oh, she'd be so worried all the time.
She still blames a lot of this on herself, as a parent, that's your job to keep your kids safe.
Yeah, but they were her parents who managed to not kill her, so I mean...
Oh, absolutely, I agree, it's not her fault.
No, of course not.
But this is the way a parent would think.
Yeah. Was her father, violent with her and her siblings when they were growing up?
Well, not physically, apparently, but he was verbally abusive.
Right. Do you know if he was an alcoholic?
I don't know.
Okay, sometimes those two really go hand in hand.
Apparently one of her brothers was kicked out very early. You know, he was only about 15 for smoking pot or something stupid like that.
Everyone keeps getting kicked out for smoking pot today.
And
Just
I'm
let people smoke pot, God.
And I'm not sure if that's the brother that committed suicide, but obviously, you know, apparently Shelley said he was the one that stood up to the father, so that's why he got kicked out.
I wouldn't like that.
Oh.
Wow, that is really, really dark, dude.
Yeah. Oh, here's the kicker.
Oh, there's more?
There's more.
Whoa.
Okay, so this happened a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
This year, January 3 this year, John Walsh beat his cellmate to death with a sandwich press.
In jail. They gave him a sandwich press. They gave this guy a sandwich press? I guess he's old.
Okay, he's 77. He's in Long Bay Jail. They've got a special section for elderly murderers.
Who like toast.
And this Frank Townsend was his cellmate, who was also a murderer. He murdered his wife or something.
Okay.
And he put a sandwich press in a pillowcase and beat him to death. Allegedly. This hasn't gone before the courts yet.
Wow, so the murder streak has not like just worn off with age.
No.
Well, geez, I hope they keep him there until he has no arms.
So is Cowra cursed?
Maybe.
I think it's had a lot of bad luck.
It certainly has. I'm glad my friend Stewie got out of there. I don't plan to go checking out that Japanese garden. I do think it's like a Venus flytrap to make people come to Cowra so they can get murdered.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
And now we'd like to thank the sponsor for this episode, which is actually the lovely people at the city of Cowra. Wow. Okay. Well, I better not go to Cowra. They'll tar and feather me and run me out of town.
Tara, can you make me happy with an Aussie ad, please?
I hope so. Wow, that was really, really intense. Fuck. Alrighty. Aussie as. These are short crime stories with a quintessentially Aussie flavour to try and make sure that people listening to this show don't just want to go sit in a corner and cry afterwards. So a noodle bar owner in Brisbane fought back Crocodile Dundee style when a knife-wielding robber burst into his business and demanded cash. When the robber handed over a note reading, "I have one knife, give me money," the eatery owner, Hunter Hu, said that he pretended to go in the back and fetch his bar's money box. But Hu returned with 2 meat cleavers and chased the shocked suspect from the premise, reportedly yelling, "You have one knife, I have 2!" The unidentified robber ran off like a pissy bitch and collided with a man loading groceries into his car. He then crossed a busy road and hid out inside a fast food outlet until police arrived on the scene and arrested him, allegedly while he was still holding the knife. Despite the obvious threat to his safety, Hu said he didn't really feel in danger at any time. "It's Australia. I don't worry. It's very, very, very good." That's what he said, but he obviously didn't go to Cowra at any point, so...
I like him.
I like him too. "You have one knife? I have 2. That's like the perfect answer to pretty much anything.
I mean, despite our stories, a lot of our stories being very brutal and horrible, they're our heroes.
Oh, yeah.
And you think of their journey and how they come back from that, and
how
extraordinary
they survive
stuff.
it and what they do afterwards. Absolutely. It is better to focus on that than the dead children.
My name is Barney Black.
I'm still Tara Saraban.
We just did some bloody murder.
We did a lot of bloody murder. Thank you for listening to another episode. Thanks to everyone who's given us some very, very nice reviews lately as well. They really help us. So if you're feeling a little generous after all those stories of murder, don't hesitate to give us a review if you would like to.
We'd like some more reviews from our Australian audience, actually. That'd be nice.
Preferably good ones.
And English and Canadian.
Just everywhere. Reviews are really helpful for this podcasting stuff. It's weird. I think that's what got us on iTunes this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got up to 61 on the comedy charts in Australia for iTunes, which was surprising, actually. We were like, what? Okay.
I'm grateful and humbled.
Yes. Yeah, thank you indeed. Rating also helps, and subscribing.
Follow us on Twitter. Join our Facebook group. We've got a great community there.
Yeah, Bloody Murder Podcast. Our Twitter is Bloody Murder Pod, and you've just got your own, right? Is that Barney Black?
At Barney Danger.
At Barney Danger. Okay. We're launching a Patreon. because we would really like to spend more time being able to bring better stories to you.
We want to do more and we want to do better. We're aspirational about this.
Indeed.
So check out our Patreon, and if you want to support us, that would be lovely.
Be great.
I'll
And
be your best friend.
because we're over here in Australia, we'll probably most of the reward stuff that we're setting up is going to be more content. So if you would like to hear more crazy stuff from us, that would be a good idea. What else have we got?
That's
think
it.
that's about it. Really,
I think that's
isn't
about it.
I think I've pretty much done it.
Thanks, Tara.
Thank you, Barney.
And thank you, listener, for using your ears.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. And keep kicking against the pricks.
Goodbye and adios.
They had the intercom on in the room, and they kept lying that it wasn't on, and they were using sonic pressure on my head since 1997.